All right.
The American Revolutionary War by Chad Peare and Tyler Hayes. This is a video on the American Revolutionary War. We will be covering the whole Revolutionary War and also show some pictures that will give a better understanding and perspective of the Revolutionary War. The American Revolution started on April 19th, 1775 in Lexington, Massachusetts. After Lexington, they marched to Concord, where Minutemen fired at the British Redcoats. In the beginning of the Battle of the Bunker Hill, Patriots and British under siege in Boston. The Continental Congress met for the second time on May 10th, 1775. They met to form a militia and establish a Declaration of Independence. King George III was furious about the colonies breaking away from the mother colony. On August 27th, 1776, British stormed American position at the Battle of Long Island, where Americans lost 1,000 men and British lost only 400 men. The British took over Fort Washington and had control of the Manhattan Island. On September 1776, British troops took over New York City. The city almost caught on fire and the British had no use for it. 1776 to 1777 in New York City, General Howe gave command to General Cornwallis and chased the remainder of Patriots to New Jersey. 1776, on Christmas night, 920 British troops were killed and 90 were wounded by Washington and his troops. On January 3rd, 1777, the British were overthrown in Princeton, New Jersey by Washington and his troops. The turning point in the American Revolutionary War was near Saratoga, where Washington took over Philadelphia from General Howe. In 1778, the HMS Drake was taken over by Captain John Paul Jones, and this was the first warship to surrender. British forces captured Savannah and Augusta and Georgia. It wasn't until 1780 and early 1781 that Americans won victories in those cities. In spring 1781, Greene's army pushed General Cornwallis's troops into North Carolina, where the battle at Guilford Courthouse. The battle was a draw, and Cornwallis took his army to the Virginia coast. British surrender at Yorktown, which lasted less than a week. Cornwallis sent out white flags to surrender 2 o'clock in the afternoon on October 19th. British soldiers marched out of their positions to surrender the American and French troops. British government was ready to accept American independence. The death toll was very high throughout the war. Neither Britain nor America won total military victory, but they both wanted peace by September 3rd, 1783. The Treaty of Paris was signed, and British had to pledge respect to American independence. Here are a few pictures from the Revolutionary War.
The Boston Massacre took place on March 5th, 1770. This was called a massacre because several colonists were killed and more were wounded. People believe that this is one of the reasons the American Revolution came to life. John Murray was the last British appointed governor of colonial Virginia. Arriving in 1771, Lord Dunmore faced more growing opposition from radical colonists who wanted to declare themselves independent of British rule. In 1775, Murray seized gunpowder and belonging to the colony. This 1783 engraving depicts the burning of Charlestown after the Battle of Bunker Hill. On June 17, 1775, the attack took place near Boston, on the Charleston Peninsula. This clash between the British Army and colonial Minutemen was the first major battle of the American Revolutionary War. The Battle of Lexington relied on the colonial militia to set the stage for the Battle of Concord. While British General Thomas Gage and his troops searched Concord for weapons, approximately 100 soldiers remained at the Old North Bridge. Nearby, 400 Minutemen had gathered from neighboring towns. Although neither side wanted to fight, tensions built, and before British could cross the bridge to safety, a shot was fired. The shot was from Minutemen, and the 3 British soldiers died. The battles of Lexington and Concord signaled the beginning of the Revolutionary War. In this engraving, the colonists and British fight at the Battle of Lexington. The British came and took control of the arms and colonists had in an arsenal. During the reign of George III, King of Great Britain and Ireland from 1760 to 1820, the policies of British government toward the American colonies led the American Revolution. He was very angry with the colonists and rejected the Treaty of Paris. He set heavy taxes on the colonists also. On December 25, 1776, as the Haitians, a group of German mercenaries employed by British, celebrated Christmas, General George Washington led a surprise attack on the forces at Trenton, New Jersey. Washington and his troops crossed the Delaware River during the night and attacked at dawn. The American army defeated the British forces while suffering few losses. American forces captured strategic positions on October 14, 1781, at the Battle of Yorktown. 5 days later, this particular battle and Revolutionary War would end with Britain's surrender. George Washington led the forces that attacked the Redcoats. On October 19, 1781, British commander Charles Cornwallis surrendered to American General George Washington after Cornwallis' defeat at the Battle of Yorktown, which ended the American Revolutionary War. It took Cornwallis several hours to actually surrender to Washington. The Redcoats were running out of food and ammunition. Their only option was to surrender.